welcome back to the Press Star Podcast. I'm your host Vic, aka MrNeverChillin. This is episode number 44, and of course I'm joined by none other than my co-host Lunatic Ablivion.
Hey guys, how you doing today?
So how you been, man? It's been a while. I mean, we haven't been here for about 2 weeks now. So what's been going on? Tell me how you been. What games you've been playing, stuff like that.
So I've been working on the Kirby game that came out, Forgotten Worlds. I was playing that with my wife. That's been pretty fun. We're about I'd say three or four bosses in. Added some side content, so we got distracted and started doing that instead of the actual game. But other than that, I played a bunch of Elden Ring, and I actually finally beat the game after about 140 hours.
Oof. Tell me about it. How was your experience? Did you really enjoy it? What did you like, dislike? Just give me like a quick review of it.
So I think Elden Ring, like many of the Dark Souls games, it had a plethora of content, and it felt like nothing was like every main bit of content wasn't like a repeat of the content. So it wasn't
Right.
like I was doing the same boss fights and things. Now, the only qualm I have with the game is the side bosses, the side missions, the dungeons, the things that actually did get copy and pasted, it felt like at times. So I
Hmm.
think From Software was trying to really build a truly immersive and expansive game, but I think they did miss the mark a little bit by making the game into essentially a single player MMO. So you go into a dungeon, the dungeon may have some bosses that you've already fought, or it's the same boss over and over again a few times. So I've had my issues with the game where some of the side content always felt like I was fighting the same thing over and over again. But the bosses, like each of the final bosses, each one of like the actual game itself, you could do anything in that game, and it really felt like any build would have worked because every boss seems to be a different strategy. Sometimes I just cheesed the boss with magic because the boss couldn't get to me effectively. Other times I had to like pick up my sword and actually fight as a wizard with a sword, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. So I honestly, genuinely, the game was a 10 out of 10 for graphics. I think the gameplay was, I'd say probably 9 out of 10, and the story would probably be about a 9 out of 8 out of 10 in my book. I think the story was really well done for a From Software game.
Hmm.
I think Sekiro had a better story in some aspects because it was very linear and more straightforward, whereas this one you can miss the whole story if you want. You can just pretty much do a drive-by of the actual story and not get anything out of it.
Yeah, it seemed like Elden Ring was a game that could be all over the place. You can approach each mission if you want to, or skip boss fights, or just skip different
Hmm.
parts of the map. So it's pretty curious. And then I seen over the weekend or the past week or so, they've been having that one guy who's been like being summoned in to fight that boss, and he shows up and he has like a pot on his head and he's like naked, and like you can
That's all he does.
that's all he does. He was like, because he struggled with it for so long, and he like perfected it now, where he can just kill it by himself. He'll come into your world and solo fight it while you just sit there and eat some popcorn. So I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I saw that as well. And people are drawing memes about him, like people are doing JoJo references to him. So it's fun. I enjoy seeing the community come together. I think it's really awesome. Like the boss for myself, I actually struggled with it for an hour or two, only to find out that the boss was optional, and then struggled another 4 or 5 hours to actually beat it by myself.
Yeah, yeah. I see. I don't know if I'm ready to put myself through a game like that yet. I feel like I don't have the patience to play through a game and die over and over and over and over and over to the same
Yeah,
boss. I can't.
yeah. If you're not looking to better yourself in terms of performance in a single game, then it's not the game for you. Like at the
Hmm.
end of the day, if you're not good, you're gonna struggle and you're gonna have to get better, or you're just gonna want to quit. And then honestly, that's how the game works for Elden Ring. Any
Right.
From Software games like that, it's like, well, you're not supposed to know how to beat the boss, and if you beat the boss the first time in, maybe the boss was too easy.
Right.
It may not have just been a bad boss.
Right. See, with me, I just gotta be able to play games that I can play, beat, enjoy the story, and actually enjoy the game because I write game reviews for Shoot to Win and stuff. So I gotta make sure I get through games. I can't. I don't know if I can spend 140 hours in one game. Like that's a lot of games I
Yeah.
could have beaten there. That's at least seven decent games.
Yeah, it took a lot of time, but don't get me wrong, I think From Software's Elden Ring is definitely going to be in the running for an award for Game of the Year, and I think it sets a precedent for what the rest of the games that come out this year will need to do to successfully be a good game.
Right, right. And speaking of good games, I've been currently in the midst of my last 2 weeks of dealing with outside of gaming stuff. I've been at least trying to get an hour in of playing a Plague Tale Innocence. It's on Game Pass, so didn't have to buy it. But I've also been streaming it on the MrNeverChillin Twitch account just so I can play it on my Xbox, but then still record it technically because I'll go and download the saved file and then I'll edit and upload those to YouTube at a later time. But holy fuck, is that game dark? I was just like
Yeah,
from the beginning, like I don't want to spoil too much, but like the game from the beginning, like you play as the brother and the sister. You play primarily, obviously, as the sister, and you're trying to protect him because your mother and father were just recently killed by the Inquisition because your brother has like a link to the plague of some sorts, and you basically play through the entire story running away from the Inquisition, trying not to die by the plague, the rats, and then also trying to figure out a cure for your brother. So like it's a really touching game, and my heart was pounding most of the game. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to get caught because like if you get caught, like you can't fight back really. Like if you have like some of the abilities that you later on unlock, like if you have one of those crafted, you can defend yourself one time. But like if there's a group of them, you're fucked. Like you're not escaping. You're gonna
yeah,
die. And I've died repetitively in this game at certain parts. I'm like, fuck, how do I do this part? Or damn, how can I get around them? And it definitely challenged me. And it wasn't too much. Like if it was Elden Ring, I probably would have died 100 times. I'd have like, fuck this game and turning it off. Where this game, I was like,
yeah.
yeah, I gotta do it. I know how to do this. I can do this. Finally get past certain parts. And I've been playing about an hour, which gives me they're broken up into chapters, and they'll do like a cutaway, like, oh, new chapter here, and it does a
Yeah.
nice transition. It's not like Dying Light's like black screen for no reason, and it's pretty nice. I'm able to play 2 chapters a night, and I think there's about 17, so I'm about halfway done with the game. I think it is right now, and
Hmm.
I'm super excited to beat it. And then it builds the excitement because we got Requiem, the sequel coming out in this summer, I believe, and then where we covered the TV series that's supposed to be coming out alongside of it. Well, later on, I guess.
Hmm.
So it just makes me more excited to check out this IP.
Yeah, no, honestly, I really like the game. I'm in chapter 4 right now, or chapter 5. So I've been playing for a while as well, and I just sort of put it down for a while there. But I think it's a pretty good game. I really think it's a very good game. I think it's interesting. It kind of flew under my radar at first when it
Yeah.
came out, and I only played it in 2020 because I was like, oh, I just need a game in my library to play.
Right. And like I love it how it's like it's pretty much a linear game, but it gives you like a sense of like discoverability. Like there's some hidden alleyways or things you can climb over, and you can find like more stuff to upgrade your sling and stuff. And I was just like, oh shit! Like I didn't realize that that was even a thing until like mission 4, like chapter 4 and 5, and I was just like, I wonder how many of these things I passed or missed. There
Yeah.
was there was probably some shit that I
Hmm.
just walked on by. I had no idea it was there. But now I'm on the lookout for them, trying to be like, okay. Ooh. And I found one the other last night, and I was like, damn, this shit was hard because I had to clear out like it was like I had to hop over a fence, but there was nothing but rats there, so I had to figure out how to get rid of them because there was no flames, no fire, there was nothing. And I eventually just threw like I had like a fire bomb. I at least had one left of those, and I was able to clear that. Then to get to the alchemy cart to give me some more stuff.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
no, it's an interesting game, and I'm excited for the sequel.
for sure. But yeah, man, let's dive into our episode this week. We got to start off here with the game releases. We got just a few here that actually released last week. We just wanted to cover that came out. We had 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, that's coming to the Switch on April 12th, or came to the Switch on April 12th, along with Don't Starve Together, also came to the Switch on April 12th. Cat Cafe Manager came to the Switch and PC on the 14th. Then we had eFootball 2022 came to the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and previous gen along with PC on the 14th. Nobody Saves the World finally came to the PlayStation and Switch. I know you played that game, right? When it came to Game Pass, you checked out that
Yep.
game. Road 96 came to the PS5, Series X and S, and previous gen on the 14th. This is actually a game that I want to check out. This one looks pretty cool because it's like a procedurally generated world, and like you're trying to go along this highway, and like you're trying to survive. It seems like it has like a almost like a post-apocalyptic world, almost like it's like a early stages of it, and the graphically it looks pretty nice. It has like an isometric look, so I definitely want to check this out. Then we got that Star Wars: The Force Unleashed is coming to the Switch. It's just getting one of those older games coming to the catalog, so that's pretty cool if you miss it and your main console's a Switch. The Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, both 1 and 2, were actually pretty solid games, even though they're not canon. And then we got Teardown coming to the PC on the 21st here. Teardown, I'm not sure. I don't know really too much about it. I'm about to click into it.
Teardown is a game that's been in early access for quite some time now, but Teardown is essentially a demolition game. It's about being able to destroy essentially a specific scene. Say, for example, you have a hotel that needs to be demolished. Well,
Oh, okay.
you tear it down. You actually destroy it and break it down on you know, somehow with all the technology that you have.
Oh, okay. So just demolition simulation is what they
Hmm.
could have called it, more or less, because we get all these new simulation games that all of them that we covered it, which is pretty hilarious. But probably not a game that I'll check out. But people find some relaxation in games like that.
Yep. And it will be leaving early access is the idea. So it's been available though
Hmm.
since 2020, but it's finally actually becoming a full-fledged game here soon.
Cool. And then let's move on to our industry news. We actually got a decent amount of stuff that happened in the industry over the past 2 weeks. We're going to touch on here with the Ukraine update. Remember when we talked about last or 2 weeks ago? They had a partnership with Fortnite was donating money to them based off of their proceeds, and they were doing it over like a 2 week span, I think it was, and they ended up raising
Correct.
144 million dollars. That's a lot of money over a week or two span of just in-game purchases. That's a lot
Hmm.
of money. So I mean, that's awesome that they were able to do that. And obviously, Epic also donated a lot of money to, or received donations, I guess, between them and Lego. They're teaming up to create a child-safe metaverse space of some sort. So my guess will probably be like Roblox or something along the lines like that. But they received $2 billion, $1 billion from Sony, and then $1 billion from Kirkby. I'm not exactly sure who they are exactly, but that's a lot of money. What do you think this will turn out to be? Is this going to be something like that we're going to see in the future?
I feel like we're going to end up with another just giant microtransaction world. We're going to end up essentially with what we have now, the metaverse, but it's going to be essentially I think the best way to think about it is it's going to be just another Roblox, but a Roblox from the aspect of it being a metaverse. So oh, be able to buy this or own this property here. You're going to be able to,
Hmm.
oh, buy these customizables, things like that probably. So it's definitely going to be an interesting game, I think. I don't think it's going to be anything that adults are going to want to be a part of. And the idea behind this whole thing is it's going to be it's very much going to be Club Penguin-esque in the sense that they're very, very restrictive and it's going to have a lot of child safety measures in it.
Well, that's good. I mean, I really think that's important to have those, especially in the crazy world that we live in. But
Agreed.
so on to some better news here. There's a couple events that are coming up here. THQ Nordic has an event coming up in August. I can't believe they announced it so early. August 12th at 3 o'clock. It'd be pretty cool to see what they come out with because their recent game like Biomutant was fun that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I'm just curious to see. We actually talked about a pre-show that they're not a AAA studio. They are, you said, what, a AA studio?
Yes.
And it's crazy because I feel like THQ used to be like such a big company. Like when they made Homefront, I feel like they've always helped out with a lot of games. I think they've always been like that assistive studio. That's probably where
Yeah.
I'm getting it from.
Well, they make a lot of their own games, but the problem is they themselves have always been a small studio. And I feel like you say they make big games, but the thing is they're not really making the big games. They're helping out or they're a side studio, but they themselves, their games aren't big by any means. Like Biomutant, you can clearly see that what was lacking in that game comes with the
Hmm.
territory of being a double A game trying to tackle a triple A problem.
Right. Looks like they. I think they made the Darksiders. They helped out with Destroy All Humans
Hmm.
2, Red Faction, Saints Row. So they've definitely been a part of a lot of games. But like you said, they are a little bit probably smaller scale games. Homefront was probably their
They're
biggest game.
yeah,
They were trying to
they're
compete with
there
Call
to
of Duty.
help.
Homefront was their game. I know that. That was their one of their actual main games that they
Hmm.
made. And Homefront was going up against Call of Duty in 2011. That was a pretty rough time to go up. That was at Call of Duty's peak. Probably was in 2011.
Yeah, that would have been the peak of for Call of Duty, especially we would have been sitting in Modern Warfare,
Yeah.
one of the originals.
Right, and the countless times because we were only a junior in 2011, so I know I was investing tons of hours into Call of Duty at that time. But
Hmm.
another showcase that's coming out is the Saint Row Ultimate Customization Showcase. It's on April 20th at 3 o'clock. Um, I'm curious to see this because Saints Row is definitely on my radar for this year, and it might be one of those games I actually might be able to hop in, hop out. Like it's going to be like that sandboxy kind of game, but I'm curious to see what they show at this showcase.
Yeah, I'm actually excited because Saints Row has always been one of those games for me that it's just like you can jump in and pretty much just go around doing anything you want. And it's a goofy fun game. It feels like that kind of classic 2010 feeling where you have those open world games. To me, Saints Row has always felt like a Spider-Man style game where you're just jumping around and blowing shit up and having fun.
Right, and I think this might be a game that we might be able to hop in with a bunch of guys from Lunacy Arts Gaming there, so that'd be pretty cool to check out. But
No, I agree.
on to some darker news here with following up with the Activision Blizzard update. One out of the 3 points that we're about to cover here was good. 1,100 QA testers will be converted from a contract to a full time position and bumped up to at least $20 an hour. I think that's huge. I think that's a great step forward. I've actually been seeing a lot of negative things behind it, but we'll see how that turns out. But what's your thoughts on this?
I think what's happening here is they're trying to sweep under the rug the issues we've been following for a while now because the QA testers have been run ragged and treated essentially like less than human when it comes to the video games that Activision Blizzard has been publishing recently. They kind of really don't care about their staff, and this is their way of treating people less than human. They're like, "Hey, you're a QA tester, dude. You're on contract. We don't have to keep you. Fuck, leave. Doors right there." So
Right.
it kind of these people don't have, you know, they don't have a quality of life that comes with having a permanent position, and it's to say there was also a lot of QA testers who had permanent positions, and all
Hmm.
these 1,100 people were contract.
Yeah, because I remember a couple of months ago they fired a bunch of their QA testers. I guess maybe those ones were permanent. I'm not sure if those ones were permanent or contract, but it's just like maybe they're trying to make up for what they shouldn't have done the first time because like QA testers are super important. Like, are they not realizing the content they're putting out? Like Vanguard, for instance, garbage, hot garbage.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, we don't
Well,
need QA testers. We don't need to test the game out or anything.
exactly. And it's getting really silly here where they're like, we don't care about the game's quality. It says, when your QA department is like not big or not like you don't care about your QA team, then that really shows that you don't care about the game itself. You care about just the money and the publishing something that will sell, whether it is hot garbage or not. You bought it, tons of people bought it, and people would buy it again just because
Right.
they buy every Call of Duty game.
Right. I think it would take 1 year of everyone just going, nope, we're not buying Call of Duty, and Activision Blizzard would be like, oh
Whoa, wait, wait, whoa,
whoa,
whoa, whoa,
yeah.
we're sorry. Wait, what happened here?
Red flag,
Let's
red
take.
flag. What's going on?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So I think we're kind of in a weird position right now where they're like,
yeah. It's like
we need
why
to
do we
make
need to? We don't need to
far
do
bad
better.
choices.
Right. Because they feel as if why do we need to do better? It's the number one selling game every month, every year since 2007. Why do we need to change? And from a business aspect, you're like, I'm not changing. But then from like like the down to like the personal like humanitarian level, you're like, okay, maybe we need to make some better choices here because we're treating these guys or the ladies terribly here. But to make all of this worse, apparently there was a California lawmaker over the allegations that the governor's office has been interfering with this whole ordeal with like hiding things and sweeping things under the rug and making sure stuff doesn't go public and stuff like that. And Jason Schreier from Bloomberg reported this, and he's a pretty reputable source. And I'm just like, that's crazy. Like when that broke, I was just like, that just amplified all of this to another level. When like the government itself is trying to hide stuff.
Yeah, so what happened is a person, a prominent person in the chief counsel for the State Department of Fair Employment and Housing was fired on March 29th in the midst of her success in pursuing the case as the chief counsel for the State Department. She was pursuing Activision Blizzard, and her success would result in losses for this company because of their, disrespectful and disreputable, just their way of acting. And so they got somebody in the governor's office to help sort of leverage their power, and they got her fired so that the case would help stall out against Activision Blizzard.
This is just awful, and it's just it. Excuse me. It's just like building and building, and then like to the last point here is the SOC investment group sent a letter to all the shareholders and told them to vote against the acquisition, and I'm just like, why? Because like you know all the stuff that's bad that's going to happen, and I know if Microsoft takes over, they're going to be like, hey guys, we just lifted the rug up. Here's everything bad that's been going on at Activision Blizzard. Time to clean house.
Yeah.
Let's get these people in trouble. Let's take care of this, and they don't want that.
And that's the thing. These so SOC investment groups are sending an open letter to shareholders to vote against the acquisition by Activision Blizzard by Microsoft because they're worried about what it'll mean for their stock prices. Because well, they'll find out in the end when Microsoft sees what's going to happen. Microsoft may need to shutter a lot of things, and Microsoft is going to be okay with losing a lot of money up front to be able to acquire this catalog. Activision Blizzard's catalog is huge. So like for them to be able to just say, yeah, we'll take a few $1 billion losses for a few years, but now we own Activision Blizzard. We own Warcraft, we own StarCraft, we own Call of Duty. We own it all, so we can make the money back up. But SOC Investment Group is worried because their shares are going to tank for years. And so, they're worried about their profits, not about doing the right thing. And they're trying to get all the shareholders on board for this purchase because they don't want for their stocks to drop because of their shitty business practices.
Right. So this is definitely going to be a long thing in the making. I think this is going to go through a very intensive investigation with the FTC and every other department that wants probably hands in this now, especially with the whole California lawmaker and the governor's office and stuff like that being involved. This is going to go through courts heavily.
Yeah, it's definitely going to become a problem because right now they're worried about the whistleblower issue in the company, and now the company's trying to essentially silence this whistleblower and the people trying to help the whistleblower. So,
Right.
It's a shitty thing to go on, but let's at least get to some better news here. Let's talk about the movie Sonic 2 came out last week. Sonic 2 came out and it made $71 million in its debut weekend. It was the best weekend for any video game movie to ever come out. Now, like, this is both, a no-brainer, but also good. Because, yes, population inflation is a thing, so prices are going up. Yes, they're going to make more money in the box office, but they were able to still compete with every other. It just means that they were still a good movie. So this is big. This goes to show that if we want to, we can have successful video game movies. We can have successful crossovers between, the pop culture of video games and movies and television.
Right.
Like for big actors like Jim Carrey, this is his biggest opening ever. He This is one of his biggest movies ever. And
Yeah,
it's a video game movie. It's not like it's an original like Wreck-It Ralph where yeah, it's a video game movie, but it's not based on a video game. This is literally the source material is a Sonic the Hedgehog video game from Sega and Nintendo.
right. And to think about it, like those games are old, like from
Yeah,
the original Sega, and like thinking about the story, they
there's
didn't.
no story.
There was no dialogue really. I don't think ever spoken. Like, and you made it a movie, and you made it have a story because like you took what you visually saw, and then like you added words, you added like a meaning, like you added purpose to it. Because obviously, the grand scheme of thing, you wanted to get rid of Doctor Robotnik. That was just the thing.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but it's just like crazy to hear that about Jim Carrey though, because like thinking about all his movies and how long he's been around and how big he is, and that Sonic 2 is his biggest opening of all time. Like what? I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for gaming movies and TV shows.
No, I agree. And so I think we should really keep our eyes out because there is going to be a Sonic the 3 movie. Now, maybe we'll get a trailer this year or maybe it'll be next year, but we're definitely getting one based on the ending
Yeah,
of Sonic 3
I have not
or
seen
the ending of
Sonic.
Sonic 2.
I have not seen one or two, so I definitely got to catch up. Obviously, if they're good, I gotta go check these out.
Yeah, honestly, I liked Sonic 1. I think it was more friendly towards the audience that it was geared towards, which is us. But I think Sonic 2 was more geared towards the generation of our children and our generation's children,
Hmm.
Zoomers and the ones below.
Right.
I think this movie was geared towards them, and I think that is the biggest flaw that we had with this movie, and we might have saw more success if it was actually more geared towards the generation that played the video games.
Right.
But even though they geared it to this new generation, it still succeeded.
Well, I bet you they're patting themselves on the back for actually listening to the community before the release of the first one, where
Oh yeah.
everybody was complaining about the design of Sonic with the eyes, and it was just
Yeah.
like,
It
okay,
was
we'll
like,
we'll
what
go
the
back there,
fuck are you doing?
right? We'll go fix him and make him look like Sonic.
Yeah, nope. So,
But
um,
another thing that happened this week was Hasbro acquires D&D Beyond Digital Toolset for 146.3 million dollars. Tell me a little bit about this. What is this about? Because I know Hasbro already
so
owns D&D, but this is like a separate thing.
Yeah, so Wizards is a company that is a child company of Hasbro. Wizards was bought years and years
Hmm.
ago by Hasbro, but Hasbro had licensed out the digital version of building characters and being able to play the tabletop game of Dungeons and Dragons so that you could do it all from the computer. Say you wanted to play the tabletop game on a website or online on Discord, over the pandemic. Say you wanted to play with your friends that you couldn't sit with in person.
Right.
Well, you were able to do all of your stuff digitally and be able to build a character, buy
Hmm.
your books, read your books, do all your tabletop gaming online. They licensed that out because they didn't want to go through the trouble of doing it themselves
Hmm.
and only saw how successful it was that they were like, oops.
Oops.
So they decided to buy the license back and buy the actual software and the website.
Oh wow. And I mean that. No, I mean no one saw the pandemic coming, but I think the pandemic helped bolster these numbers for like the popularity because, like you said, no one could do anything in person, and everyone still wanted to play D&D. How let's do it? Let's go use a digital platform. So
Yeah.
I mean that's good for them
Like
to get that back.
tabletop simulator was a huge thing for a lot of people through the pandemic. It was how you played all your board games or all your tabletop games,
Right.
and you could do anything there. Well, now you have a digital character sheet creator. Well, you're spending all this money to somebody who isn't Hasbro, and Hasbro's like, "Oh, why? Why didn't we do it ourselves? We're getting, a fraction of the profit because all we're getting is licensing fees."
Right. So I mean that's good though that happens.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the success and what additions that Hasbro can actually bring because they have all the source material. Like they own everything now, so we'll
Well,
see.
they sold all the source material to them via licensing. So
Yeah,
is this going to go off to die at this point,
hopefully
or
not.
maybe people who buy the books will get the digital version as well now?
That
So,
that would be nice. Because you think about like when you buy movies nowadays, like you when you buy a movie, you get the digital copy most of the time if you still buy the physical. So it's always nice
yeah.
to do
Well,
that.
anytime I buy any character books or anything for any other tabletop game, if there's a digital version, I usually get it. Like Games Workshop is great for this. All of their rule books, I get a digital version now that gets updated too. So,
There you go. And we got one last thing here in the industry news before we move into our main meat of the episode. Xbox is working on an ad program that will let you advertise in free to play games digitally. So, like, I was trying to explain it to you earlier in the week, was like, if there's a billboard in the game, you some company can have an advertisement on that billboard in the game. Because, like, Fortnite has billboards all over, but they're usually, like, plain or nothing really on them. But now you might be able to see Pepsi or Coke or Doritos or what you know what I mean. So I think it's
yeah.
pretty cool. Like it's just another way to add revenue, and I feel like if they keep it to that kind of stuff, isn't going to affect the player. I just think it's just going to add more money to the economy.
Yeah, as long as you're not like sponsoring a loading screen,
Right.
then it turns into YouTube the video game.
Those are so
Can
annoying,
I
but
skip the ad, please? 30 seconds later, you still
yeah.
have to watch the ad.
Yep.
That's what worries me about this because if we start selling ad space inside of loading screens, are loading screens loading or just playing an ad at that point? Because you don't know. The game may already be ready to play, but now you have to wait and watch this ad. So
Right.
that's what scares me the most.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I just hope that it just like I hope that they don't build like a subscription service off of this now because it's like, oh, I can play Fortnite for free, but if I want an ad-free version of Fortnite, now I got to buy it for $5 a
Now I
month or
have to
whatever.
now I have to buy the MMO pass for Fortnite. I gotta be able to, I'm gonna play it like I play WoW. And everyone hates the subscription model for WoW, but now we're gonna do it for other games maybe. And
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting story to follow, because this is a legitimate thing that's happening, and see if any other companies go along with this, like PlayStation and Nintendo. But
yeah.
without further ado, as Roger would say, let's move into gaming news. Starting off with PlayStation. PlayStation Plus had like a little bug out there where PlayStation Plus yearly subscription was half off if you bought PS Now using a certain link. So people were racking them up, and apparently you could stack them too. So people were buying like 4 or 5 years worth of this stuff, and they were getting it half off. And it just kept stacking up. They're like, and it was going on all day long, all over Twitter, dude. I was just like, I was half tempted to do it. I don't even have a PlayStation 5. I have a PS4 that sits in a closet collecting dust. So it's like, damn. But
Yeah,
that was
no,
insane.
it feels silly, but at the same time, like I don't want to buy it. There's no reason to get it, even if it's half off. Like unless it blows up and becomes something amazing, which I don't foresee it doing. It's like, cool, PlayStation just fucked up again.
Like the biggest problem
So,
with this, like the announcement of the new PlayStation Plus structure, was they didn't announce any of the catalog. They're like, hey, we're gonna have 400 games, okay, but what are those
what
400 games?
games?
And then the whole backwards compatibility list of 300 and some odd games. Okay, which ones? Because you understand how big the PS2 catalog is, the PS1, like all of those catalogs are huge. And you're only giving me 300 of them. Okay, what games are you giving me? Are you giving me like ATV Off Road 2007? Like, no, I don't want that game.
Yeah. Or are you giving me something like Metal Gear Solid, one of the Metal Gear games? Am I getting something of quality or something of garbage? And I think that's kind of where we stand. Like for a while there, are we getting Xbox games with gold or are we getting Xbox Game Pass?
Right. And another thing with PlayStation Network was down last week again.
Again. Yeah.
Like I feel like it's every other week, dude, that we're talking about PlayStation Network down again. Like I
It's
don't know what they could do to make their servers just not go offline.
Well, I think the thing is they're constantly under attack and I ain't no
Conspiracy.
conspiracy theorist. There we go. I ain't gonna say it's like Microsoft trying to attack them here, but like it feels like somebody's out to get them right now and make them look bad because that's what it typically is. Somebody's actually staging an attack. So, it's not always their fault, but at the same time it's like Microsoft doesn't go down, so why are they always going down?
Right. I think
So,
Xbox Xbox Live has been offline like two, maybe three times that I can remember, ever.
Yeah.
And that's a maybe. And they usually have it right back up and running. Where like PlayStation, they'll be down like all week.
Yeah. No, and it's like, we'll get back when we get back. Sorry.
It blows my mind, dude. But
Talking about here about PlayStation, let's also include Xbox and talk about the next gen updates for Resident Evil. RE2, RE3, and RE7 are getting next gen updates with all their save data being carried over, and your DLC is also upgraded, so it all looks good. What do you think, Vic? This what we want, or do we want, something else?
um, I love it because like I feel like a lot of the times like back in the day like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games, they never had that opportunity to have that treatment where it got carried over to the next generation so it can look better. And if you missed it on that generation, you don't want to feel like, "Oh, damn, I can't play it cuz it looks crappy." Like that was my reason with why I struggle to go back and play older games is if it don't really look good, I don't want to play it if it plays clunky, it looks ugly. Where now like they get carried along, they're constantly getting the visual upgrades, and it just makes sense, and I love it, and it adds to our idea that we talk about is like the preservation of games, where we used to talk about
Yeah.
that a lot, and it's just you're adding to it, and I love it.
Yeah, I think at some point, there has to be a unified library. The Library of Congress has a lot of copies of
Video game.
these video games. But like at the end of the day, I think, it sucks when a game disappears or it just looks too bad to play anymore. And I
Hmm.
like that these devs are continuing to put in the effort so that we can play these games, that we can play these gems, these things we care about, whether or not you liked the remakes of Resident Evil 2 and 3. Some people did.
Yeah.
And like for us to now be able to get even better graphics on these already awesome remakes is just cool. It's really fun. And to see Resident Evil 7
Yeah.
get a remake, get a visual remake is awesome. And
Right.
so, I think what we also need to talk about here is another next gen game on the PlayStation. Kingdom Hearts 4 got announced. Like,
That came out of nowhere, and
I
Missing
thought
Link.
we were done.
We got
I thought we
two.
were done.
We got two Kingdom Hearts games announced: Kingdom Hearts 4
Yes.
and Missing Link. And like the Kingdom Hearts, I've never played any of them, but I know how connected all of the story is, like with every game, whether it was on the Game Boy or if it was on the PlayStation or if it was on PSP. I don't know what these games are on, but it's just like that Missing Link is going to be part of the story that's being told.
Yes, it's the mobile game because this is the second mobile game that they're going to have for it.
Hmm.
So it's essentially one of those chore games that you would play. You get so many missions at a time, but this was a game that actually they had an ending in mind. Like the mobile game, when it ended, they actually had like a end all be all bad guy that everyone had to beat.
Hmm.
Like that was awesome. And I
Yeah.
think mobile games that have these sort of lifespans and they're not just like, we're done. Sorry about the $100,000 you spent on our game, but the game's done. Bye.
Right.
Kingdom Hearts, A Missing Link is going to be a new Android game here for for the story to tie us into four.
Right. And I think that's huge. Like this literally came out of nowhere. There was no I guess there was kind of a leak if you go back to the Nvidia GeForce leak, but there hasn't really been
Yeah.
anything in the news about it. Like we didn't hear nothing. And this game came out of nowhere and I saw it in the morning. I was like,
Well,
"What?" And
it was on their 20th anniversary, so it
right.
wasn't out of nowhere. This is the 20th anniversary for Kingdom Hearts. It came out when we were 8, and like for it to finally be like, "Hey, we're adding another game and it's going to continue the story because we left the story at a place where we could end it or start it again."
Hmm. And also seeing I guess like in that trailer there could be Star Wars included in this as well in the future
Yes.
parts.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool because it's been strictly obviously like Final Fantasy and Disney, but Disney obviously owns Star Wars, so now they can maybe incorporate Star Wars one way or even that. But
Or Marvel.
right, I was gonna say, does that open the door? Does Marvel get included in all this? Like, you imagine the mashup of a game that could be. Don't get me
Because
started.
like in the new game, you're back into the real world where people are, not where you're not in the Disney world anymore. He's literally fighting a guy in the streets of Japan,
Right.
fighting a giant kaiju essentially, for lack of a better word. And so I think that's pretty cool. And it could lend itself well to being able to go between, IRL, back to Disney, fighting in, say, Star Wars, but also entangled. I think it'll be cool because it's still that spanning the Disney,
The Disneyverse.
all of their licenses. Yeah,
Right.
the Disneyverse.
Yeah, so I mean that was super exciting. I know a bunch of guys from Shoot to Win that play it, and we were tagging JD because he's a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, and yeah, that's a big announcement there. But another one that you actually threw in the chat was Fire Emblem Warriors Three Hopes Mysterious Mercenary trailer was released. What was this? Is this part of the game that's
So
already
this
out?
is actually a gameplay. No, it's not out yet. So Fire Emblem Three Warriors, or the Fire Emblem Warriors Three Hopes is the Three Houses Warriors game that we haven't gotten yet. We saw a trailer last year about it, but this one actually was a gameplay trailer. It included actual content from the game as opposed to just like story and some
Mm-hmm.
cutscenes, but actual somebody playing the game behind the scenes, like seeing how there's management of your troops and dealing with other characters, leveling them up. It shows that the game is actually still very much like a Fire Emblem game while being play style of a Warriors game.
Hmm. Did it look good? Did it look appealing? Because I know those games can be really
Yeah.
repetitive, not too much going on. You're just pressing
Yeah.
the button
Well,
over and over and killing 1,000 enemies.
Well, they've gotten a lot better in recent years about making these games less repetitive. I think some people get a little butthurt at times, but like I actually enjoyed the Age of Calamity that they did for Legend of Zelda.
Hmm.
But like for this, we're looking at a release date of hopefully this summer, I believe. But it looks good. It looks really good.
So I assume you'll be probably picking this game up.
Oh, there we go. The release date was announced. It is June 24th of this year. It looks good. I think I'll pick it up probably day one because I'm typically not hurt by warrior games. Like I always have a fun time, even if
Hmm.
the gameplay is a little repetitive.
Right.
But this one with the gameplay trailer looked pretty good.
Right. Another big announcement this week was Return to Monkey Island, being kind of developed slash wrote by Ron Gilbert, who was part of the original Monkey Island game. This is in collaboration with Devolver Digital, Lucasfilm Games, and Terrible Toy Box. And wow, I'm really surprised that they have those three helping out with that. That's a lot of talent there. And I've never played any of the Monkey Island games, but it's pretty cool to see an old IP get revived in such a way because I think it's been at least 10 years, 10 plus years since we had a
Yes.
game. So it's pretty cool. Maybe I'll check it out. Maybe this will be the first time I get into this IP. Did this pique your interest at all? Because I know it blew up the internet when this was announced.
A lot of people like these games, but I've never personally met somebody who's played a Monkey Island. I've always saw the gameplay as something that I didn't care much for. But maybe I'll give the Monkey Island trilogy, the original trilogy, a try before this comes out to see if I can stop, talking out my ass and somebody who hasn't experienced the game but only seen it from the surface, and maybe I'll give it a try and see what the hoopla is.
Right. I mean, because pirate games are, I would say, pretty big right now with like Sea of Thieves and then Skull and Bones coming out, and it's just like, and then like with the collaboration that Sea of Thieves did with like Pirates of the Caribbean, it's like the content's there that people actually like these kind of things. So why not?
Mhm.
But that's pretty cool. But another announcement was Rainbow Six Mobile. Basically, it's Rainbow Six Siege, but on your phone. Not much to really
Yeah.
say about that. I mean, that's pretty cool, but that's probably
Yeah,
something I
we
won't
already
play.
have it. We already have it, and it plays great on computer. I think it's just they're just reselling the game for mobile, which I'm waiting to see the cash shop and the things that make a mobile game. And
Right.
honestly, I'm guaranteeing you right now it's going to have some sort of loot box system.
I mean, if it's anything like Siege, it'll probably do the battle pass and the item shop and just like your typical free to
Yeah.
play game at that point. I mean, it's pretty cool though. I mean, from a business point, makes sense to tap into the mobile market with a game that's already successful. It's being supported 7 years later, so now they're bringing it to the mobile market. So just taps into people who like when we had Phil on that can't have a console, can't have a PC. This gives them a chance to play a very popular game that they may watch on Twitch.
Nope, I agree. And so let's talk about something else here that is really interesting and actually caught our attention.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider is getting an Unreal Engine 5 treatment with the new game being announced. So we're hearing Crystal Dynamics is making a new Tomb Raider game in Unreal Engine 5. Finally, we're going to start seeing more games in Unreal Engine 5 for the next gen.
Right.
Is this something you're going to play, Vic?
Oh, most definitely. I played through their most recent two games because there was a new trilogy that came out, and Crystal Dynamics made the first two games, but they didn't make the third one. I forget who did, but I did play through the first
Mhm.
two, and I was like, man, this looks good. It was fun. It was kind of like linear in a way, but it had like the discoverability, kind of was alluding to earlier in the episode about a Plague Tale, and Tomb Raider has been there since we were into video games back on the PlayStation 1 days. So
Yeah.
Tomb Raider is a very iconic pop culture. Everyone knows what Tomb Raider is, but I would love to see them do more of like let me raid some tombs. Let me do a lot more puzzles around the tombs as opposed to what they were trying to
Female
do
Nathan
before.
Drake.
Right.
Like, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the Nathan Drake experience because Tomb Raider kind of veered and
Mhm.
Nathan Drake took over. We essentially got Tomb Raider where it's like, Horizon Zero Dawn, but
Right.
Tomb Raider.
Right, more or less
So,
because there was like that magic technology. It was really
yeah.
weird. It went way way out there, and I was like,
it, it started visiting a world of alien technology. It was like the new Indiana Jones movie. Well, not new at this point, but the newest Indiana Jones movie.
right. So hopefully this one comes out really good. And I mean, anything on the Unreal Engine 5, I'm going to be excited for at this point because that engine is beautiful. And honestly, just speaking about Unreal Engine 5 real quick, is I have family in from South Carolina, and that's why we have the mattress and stuff here to my left. But my brother-in-law likes to play Ark, or he wants to check out Ark, and I was like, they announced Ark 2. He's like, no. So I showed him the Ark 2 trailer, and that came out in 2020 during the Game Awards, and I completely forgot that game's going to be on Unreal Engine 5, and I was rewatching that trailer, and I was
Mhm.
like, fuck, this game
It
looks
looks great.
beautiful. And
Yeah, and
it
I'm
wasn't
excited.
gameplay or anything like that. It was strictly like a cinematic trailer, but still, like it was in engine, and I was just like, oof, I can't wait.
Yeah. No, it honestly, Unreal Engine 5, we haven't really seen anything yet until we see these games. And I'm excited because it's going to put next gen in next gen.
Mhm.
And talking about, other exploration games out here, I want to mention something that, this was one of these indie games here, but Unknown Worlds is announced Subnautica is getting a new game. This is now their third game in development. And honestly, I'm super excited. I've beaten the first two games,
Mhm.
and for a third one, I'm more than pumped.
This has always been a franchise I've always wanted to check out. I've never played any of them, but it looks cool. I thought this was probably one of the best looking games, obviously with water, because obviously you're mostly in the water most of the
That's
time.
all you're doing. Yeah.
So it's just like when a game has good looking water, it just adds to like the appeal, the immersiveness into the game, and it had a lot of mysterious to it, like a mystique. It was just like what are you even doing in this game? And I never understood what those games were about.
Yeah. This was essentially one of those sandbox games that just did a really good job. It mixed thriller with just the ability to build and just an immersive story and just sort of everything. It just had a little bit of everything. And honestly, Subnautica is one of the best games I think I've played in recent years. I put 40 hours into the first one and 23 hours into the second one. And honestly, the third one, like the ending of the second, I can only imagine where the third is going, and I can't even talk about it. Otherwise, I may spoil it for you who
Right,
says you
yeah.
want to play it. And
Right.
it's a really good game.
Yeah, that is definitely on my backlog for sure. But
Hmm.
another one that excited us this past week was Max Payne 1 and 2 is getting a remake. And they are obviously owned by Rockstar, and Rockstar made an agreement with Remedy Games to make this, and they're using the exact same engine that they made Control with, and Control was arguably one of the game of the years in 2019, one of the best games I've ever seen. And if anything's go by, Max Payne was one of those games that I missed back in the day. So not
Max Payne is a game that, it took that sort of Matrix feel where you could slow things down and it was very, high mobility. It wasn't standing still to shoot your foes.
right,
It was you're jumping around corners, shooting people, things are slowing down.
yeah.
So this looks cool. And you know what it makes me think in the back of my mind? Max Payne 3's coming. That's
What
all
do
we gotta say.
what do we say every time a new game out of
if
nowhere gets a
there
remake?
if you redo a series, if you remake a series, you're definitely going to be getting a new game. That's the end of this. So let's be on the lookout here. By the end of the year, we're probably going to see Max Payne 3, the announcement trailer.
That's going to be at the Game Awards.
Yeah, probably. And then we'll have to wait another 2 years, 3 years because it's Rockstar.
Yeah, of course. I seen a
They
trailer.
have to get out.
I saw this video on Twitter. They were like, "When I die in 95 years, the day after I die, they're going to release the trailer of GTA 6, and it's just this massive game you play on the entire Earth." And I was just like, "What the fuck?"
Odds are, yep. GTA, we're not going to get a new game. Honestly, we'll get Max Payne, maybe a Midnight Club, and then they'll be like, GTA 6.
Like nobody wants that anymore at this point.
No. But so let's visit something that happened last week. Back for Blood launched a trailer and then the new DLC within like a month of each other.
Mhm.
Last week we saw Tunnels of Terror drop on the 12th. It is a new PvE activity dubbed the Ridden Hives. So you literally clearing out the underground hives that you clear out in the end of the last part of Back for Blood. Like the last mission, you're dealing with an underground mutant creature. Now you're clearing out the hives that are building under the cities. You're going to be doing 7 new infested areas, and it is a paid DLC. So even if you have Game Pass, you're probably going to have to buy the DLC. I haven't looked too much into it, but it seems as though only one person needs to own it and the whole party can play it. So as long as one person buys the game, nobody else can play the new characters, but you can play the new map and the new
Right.
story. They also came out with a new free update, the No Hope difficulty, which is one harder than the difficulty currently out.
Right. So this is awesome that they're obviously this is one of the first big updates for Back for Blood, and I haven't even beaten it yet. So it's still a game that I have to play. I played through like the first part and realized, oh, I'm not getting anything because I'm playing it solo. So I didn't want to play it anymore. I had no no urge to play it until I get a group of friends that want to play it. But yeah, definitely go check that out. It came out about 5 days ago, and anybody who's looking for a challenge, I can only imagine what no hope means. It means you probably get looked at and you die.
So let's visit the world of Xbox now. So we've got quite a few updates for Xbox.
Hell
So
yeah.
I'm gonna go over some of the updates real quick here. Xbox, we seen Crackdown 1 and 2 are now free if you have Xbox Live. For Game Pass, we have a bunch of new games that are coming out. So Dragon Age 2 was made available for cloud gaming. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare now available for cloud. Star Wars Squadrons entered cloud gameplay. Cricket 2022 is now cloud and console, as well as MLB The Show 22. We've got Chinatown Detective Agency. That came out for cloud, console, and PC gaming. We've got Life is Strange True Colors. That came out on the 12th. That is for cloud, console, and PC gaming. We got Lost in the Random. That is for cloud, console, and PC. That comes out on the 14th. We've got Panzer Corps 2. That comes out April 12th. And we've got The Dungeon of Nalbeck, which comes out on the 12th, or came out
Mhm.
on the 12th.
Yeah. So, interesting enough, I wasn't sure if I was going to play MLB The Show 22, but since my brother-in-law is here, and he guess that's one of the main games he plays back home on his PS5. So just download it and play it around and play it against him, and ended up beating him. And he was like trying to be a sore loser. Interesting enough, he was beating me. He was talking shit. It was 1-0 going into like the eighth or ninth inning, and then like I tie it up. And then we go into extra innings, the 10th inning. Then the 11th inning goes by. Then we're in the 12th inning, and I hit a 2-run homer, go up 3-1. And I hit another 2-run home run and go up 5-1. And he's just like, I don't even want to finish the game. I don't even want to finish it. I was like, you can still come back. And then rest is history. He didn't come back, and I ended up beating him. I was like, stop being a sore loser. But that was
Hey, all
definitely a
I'm
lot of fun.
saying is, doesn't make you want to play the game though.
It was interesting. I definitely agree with a lot of the reviews have been out. It's still arguably the best sports game out there, but it's getting to the point where it's like, where else can they improve on? Like, it's the same game. They added like a co-op mode, which has a lot of bugs apparently. So it's just like, how do you make that game better? Is it getting to the point where you
Yeah.
just make one game and then have a service, you update it?
Does it, the same thing as World of Warcraft, you have one game and you just update it every few years. And honestly, I think that's where we need to be with these sports games because nobody wants to pay $60-$70 to
Every
get the
year.
same game I got last year. So, yeah, I agree with you. Maybe we just need a game as a service now. But, they're never going to do that because it's in the game. EA, baby.
Right. This isn't, but Madden
Yeah.
is in
But
FIFA.
like that's what I mean. EA makes two of the biggest ones and they're not going to move away from it and they're a sports game. That's what I'm getting at here. I'm not just saying MLB. I'm saying the whole genre isn't going to move away from just yearly releases. It's how they make that same money every year.
Right, and then have microtransactions in the game because each
Oh
game
yeah.
has like the ultimate team where you can buy like packs of cards and build your team with it, and you play with those teams and stuff like that. They're making so much money, it's insane. But
Yeah.
thank goodness
Why
it's
would we ever stop?
I mean thank goodness it's on Game Pass, and I haven't had to buy the game the last 2 years because 21 was there, 22 is there, and I guarantee 2023 will be there as well. But two
Yeah.
other games,
So,
Life is Strange: True Colors, I want to check that out, and Lost in Random was an indie developed game, and that game looks like a lot of fun, and I really want to check that out.
mhm. Yeah, and I wanna actually touch upon something that's also coming to Game Pass here this month. Bug Snacks. This is something you brought on my radar. This is a PlayStation exclusive that it's on Game Pass now. It's coming to Xbox and PC Game Pass on the 28th. It feels like, Sony isn't able to perform anymore. They've got ED when it comes to video games right now, man. They don't excite anyone. They don't excite anyone in the bed anymore. So like Bugsnax, they left. They're now also coming out with a new DLC, and it's coming straight to Game Pass on the 28th.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting because we covered that one game that we covered last week or a couple weeks ago, and then this one. I know Bugsnax was this big game on PlayStation, and it it I would say it's been a successful game. It hasn't been like a flop. Interesting enough, if it's not going to come to Game Pass if it was a flop, but this is going to help Bugsnax reach a much greater audience. We already see the impact.
Who knows? Maybe this game's a great game, and we didn't get it
Right.
because it's on PlayStation.
Right, and to show you how successful Game Pass is into a game who didn't sell well, Guardians of the Galaxy said that since bringing the game to Game Pass, it found its audience after a very slow start. It didn't reach its sales expectations, but the developer is very much satisfied with the amount of people that are playing it now via Game Pass. And it's a phenomenal game. If you haven't played Guardians of the Galaxy, anybody, please go check that game out. It is. I think I gave it a 9 out of 10. It's a phenomenal game, great story. It's won a lot of awards at all the different shows. It was just hard to go up against. Obviously, Game of the Year was it lost the two people. It takes two. So it was tough to go up against that. So, but yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy was huge.
Yeah. And in addition, we've got other things that just got announced for Xbox and pretty much only Xbox, like that just wins for Xbox. We've got Citizen Sleeper, which is a new game announced for May 5th. It's going to be on the Xbox, Switch, and PC, but it's Game Pass day one. It is a narrative RPG. We've also got Rogue Legacy 2 that got announced. It's an Xbox exclusive, the 28th. It comes out April 28th. Xbox just keeps dropping these games and a lot of them just go straight to Game Pass and they hit a huge audience. These developers, they get guaranteed revenue
Hmm.
That's
It's
so all you
it's
can
a
ask
win
for.
it's a win-win for the developer.
Yeah.
And if the game catches on, they're like, oh, we got to keep cranking out more content because this game has done good. If we want to keep
Yeah.
people around, we got to make more content. So it's great to see. And speaking about content, I mean, Halo is finally coming out with its season 2 for Infinite, which is bringing 2 new maps, one for arena, one for big team battle. New game modes like King of the Hill and attrition is being added. The trailer was pretty cool. And they're alluding to like a battle royale that's being in development, because the whole idea of this new season is like the lone Spartan, last Spartan standing. So it only kind of alludes to it with, and then with obviously certain affinity, which we talked about plenty of times in our previous episodes. We think it's coming from them, and it's probably going to come out in the next couple of months, and that'd be pretty cool because I think Halo needs some more content because it's been lackluster. The player base has fallen off because
What's
it's,
Halo?
yeah,
What's Halo?
at this point, yeah.
At this point, nobody wants to play it. And like, what's really the beauty behind all of this though is Halo, Microsoft 343, they really do care. Like, for example, the Master Chief Collection is still getting updates. They care about the posterity of their games. They're adding new Forge tools, campaign crossplay for Halo 3 and ODST. We're also getting new things in Firefight that didn't exist in the original game. Like, it Microsoft cares, but they seem to be flopping on their flagship on the actual main game. They care just as much about all their games as they do about keeping people on the current one.
Right, and hopefully Infinite has that like not a redemption, because like it's a successful game whether we want to look at it or not.
It's just
The
gonna surge. I hope we surge. We
Yeah,
get, people come in, we play the new content, we go away for a little bit, and the esports players will stay around and play.
right. And actually, I'm gonna make light of this in a positive manner. Is I think it's good that Halo took its time with coming out with season 2 and releasing Forge and co-op at a later time. Do you see how jam-packed the quarter 1 was of this year?
Mhm.
Elden Ring, Kirby, Dying Light 2, all these massive games that was going to take your attention away from Halo, no matter how much content was in that game.
Now they can jam it into you
And it
whenever there's nothing else. Now they
summertime.
can take their time. Yeah.
Summertime, perfect time. Let's bring co-op. Let's bring Forge. Let's bring new content. Let's add battle royale. Let's hype Halo back up. And I think that's
Let's
really
get
what
people
that's
while
the
they're
plan.
not distracted with AAA games that are going to compete with us.
Right,
And we've got Game Pass to carry our sales through until then.
right. So I think what they're doing in light of things, phenomenal, and I think we're gonna have a really good year of Halo. But speaking of some
Oh, I
other
agree.
stuff, Sonic the Hedgehog. We circling back to Sonic again. They have a partnership with Microsoft to make like a controller, an official controller through Microsoft, and it looks pretty cool. And it comes with like a charging stand. And I actually thought about pre-ordering it, but the price hasn't come out yet, so I'm trying to wait to see when that is announced. My guess it'll probably be like 100 bucks, maybe 115. So it's a definitely a maybe, because I don't know if I feel like dropping it on a controller that might just sit there.
They did actually just drop the price.
Okay.
It is 199.99.
Probably a no go. I'll
That
probably
is $200 for a controller. No thanks.
no thanks. I'd rather just get the Xbox Elite 2 controller at that point.
Yeah. So let's continue on here. We'll move away from the world of Xbox and PlayStation and talk about the developers themselves. So Witcher 3, we've got a next gen version, but it is delayed until 2023.
Okay.
Bad news for Square Enix. Their games are hit or miss, it turns out. Their new game, Babylon's Fall, that came out, I think, earlier this year, actually,
Hmm.
on Steam, they could only get 10 concurrent players at max, recently. Like they're struggling.
Yeah.
Honestly, Square Enix, it just goes to show if you've got bad games, people aren't going to play them anymore. You really got to take your time building your games. Because especially with this not being an IP, this being some other side game, you really have to take the time and care, or people aren't going to play your game anymore. We have Game Pass. Games are free. Why would I pay to play Babylon's Fall if it's garbage?
Right. I mean, look at the other games that they had their hands in. Like Outriders was an okay game. Was a good game. Guardians of the Galaxy they had their hands in, which was a great game that I had to mention. Life is Strange: True Colors, another great game. But they also have misses. Like they definitely do. Dying Light
Yeah.
2, that was a miss. They had their hands in that. Um, I'm not sure the success of Strangers of Paradise, the Final Fantasy Origin. I haven't seen any numbers in regards to that, so we'll see how that turns out. They had their hands in Chrono Cross, the remake that we talked about too. So I haven't seen any
hmm
numbers on that yet. And they're making Forspoken, which got delayed. So we'll see how that game turns
Yeah.
out. That game looks
And
really
and
good.
maybe Babylon's Fall is kind of a hint at what's going on there. We're watching and seeing these single player action games from them, and they're like, "Ooh, we only have 10 players
Yeah,
across the entirety of the world. Ooh,
yeah, it does look good.
that's not very many players. I have more friends than they had concurrent players." But let's talk about, bringing something to the worldwide market here. Valorant may be bringing out the mobile app soon here. They have entered the testing phase for the mobile game for Valorant.
Did you see the screenshots of what it looks like?
No, I haven't.
It's awful. There's just way too many
Yeah,
controls on the screen. Like if you're playing like touch wise, I'm like,
yeah,
oof. I don't know if I could ever think about playing Valorant on mobile. There's just buttons
yeah,
galore all over the screen. I was just like, yeah, no. If I'm going to play Valorant, I'm going to play on my computer. And maybe I'll
yeah.
try it on
Where
the
I have a
Xbox.
keyboard.
I'll try it on the Xbox, and that's a maybe.
Yeah, and honestly, it's one of those games that just never felt good on a console or on a phone. It's one of those kind of things where it's like if we're gonna get crossplay, which I hope we don't, it's gonna be really bad because you see people in fucking computer flicking on kids. Just wait till controllers try to get involved. They're gonna cry themselves in bronze.
Right, and then you got to think like, is the controller going to have aim assist, like most shooters do with controller, or is it
hmm
not? Like, that's a lot to play into it. But
Yeah. So
another thing that's actually very successful here is Lego Star Wars, which I want to get to as soon as possible because this game is doing really well, looks great. But it has the most all-time concurrent players on Steam for any Lego game. They had 62,000 concurrent at one time, and I think actually there's a bigger number than that. But the next closest was Marvel Superheroes at 6,000, and it just goes down from there with The Hobbit at 5.5, Ninjago at 5.3, and Lord of the Rings with 5. So like that is a phenomenal increase. That obviously goes to show that this game is way better than their predecessors.
and this was just on Steam. We're not
Right,
talking consoles. We're not talking about, any other thing than the Steam store. We're not
right,
talking about any other computer store as well. So this is pretty cool. Honestly, it just goes to show that if you put Star Wars on anything, it's probably going to sell.
pretty much.
Yeah. So let's talk here about another game, a single player experience, and something that might be really interesting.
hmm
The Trek to Yomi, we finally got details about the game. So Trek to Yomi is a side-scrolling, looks like a Yojimbo style story game.
hmm
It is going to be a 4K 60 FPS on PS5 and Xbox Next Gen. It is about 5 to 6 hours of strictly campaign gameplay, but you will have optional content, and the game itself allows for decision making being shown by the 4 different endings the game has. So, is this something you're going to play, Vic? Are you
It
are
looks
you
like it.
into these? You think you're going to play something like this?
I'm want to give this a try because this is something different, and it's because
hmm
like it's a short game, 5 to 6 hours, perfect. I can play that over the course of a couple of days and record it and stream it on my Twitch channel since I'm gonna start doing that with the smaller games. But yeah, it's something different. I've never played like a side scroller like black and white like samurai kind of game. I don't think I've ever played anything like it. So
It's definitely a different type of story. And talking about other games that are coming out here soon, we have Lords of the Fallen 2 that had been announced. That will come out in 2023. It is going to be a next gen only game, and they're not sure if it's going to be a 60 or a $70 game. Now, to give you a kind of an idea here, Lords of Fallen, that game we just saw there, is actually 10 million players at one time they had buy the game and play it.
hmm
This is the largest project ever for Deck 13 and CI Games. Is this a game that you played through or just own?
I'd own it, and I didn't know it was that good of a game. I think it was like I bought it like GameStop had like a four for $10 or whatever it was. It was like something crazy. I was like, yeah, let me just. It was during
Hmm.
the pandemic. Like I had all that extra money from the unemployment. I was like, yeah, let me go buy this. Let me go buy that. So maybe I'll check it out. Like, I don't really know much about it. It kind of has like the Elden Ring kind of look to it. Like that's the
It
aesthetic I
it
see.
kind of it looks very different to me than that because of the way the gameplay is structured.
Hmm.
And sadly, the game is actually not very well rated. So I'm not excited for this. From what I see of reviews, it's mostly 50% good bad. Like
Yeah.
it's actually one of the worst reviews on Steam.
Hmm.
Less than 40%, 46% of the recent reviews liked it, and only 59% of reviews of all time liked this game.
Yeah.
This game's from 2014.
Yeah.
It was made for Xbox One. It's a single player action difficult game. It's dark fantasy. They called it Souls like,
Yeah.
but honestly, this might have just been another Souls clone, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to be a good game.
Right. Another one that was announced or touched on, Lord or circle back here. Lords of Fallen 2 is supposed to come out next year in 2023. No official release date,
Yeah.
but Hell Is Us was announced and it's coming out in 2023. It's next gen and PC only. It's being made on Unreal Engine 5, so this is definitely something to be on the lookout for. This is a third-person action adventure game that combines melee combat and the thrill of exploration. It's a semi-open world that has like mysterious creatures that you might be able to whether it's battle or engage with. So did that game pique your interest at all when that was announced the other day?
So what I saw for the trailer for Hell of Us is literally the humanity is kind of collapsed at this point. Well, not kind of. It has collapsed, and
Right.
it's collapsed to the inner turmoil and demons of humanity itself. So it's kind of like a hell hath come, the end of days. So it is current gen, like current, current era, so it's not like it's, medieval fantasy or anything, but your character's running around with a giant fucking sword. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of it yet, but it looks interesting. It kind of reminds me of a Kojima style game, so it looks pretty. It looks like it's trying to be visually appealing to get your attention, but I don't know if the content's there yet. I
Right.
might just get another walk and slash simulator.
Another game that was announced here was No More Heroes 3 was announced, coming to Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, last gen and next gen as well. Were you a fan of the previous two games? Because I know both. I know that this franchise
No,
is big.
so I've never played No More Heroes. This is a game that originally came out on the Wii, and then we saw No More Heroes 2. This is a kind of game that I've heard is iconic. It was an open world RPG, you went around, and it was very much Nintendo's attempt to be an adult console. This was one of their RPGs that was actually meant for, late teen and early adult. It wasn't meant for kids, and that was Nintendo's way to kind of break the mold on who they are. What surprises me though is this is not going to be on the Switch. It's only for Xbox and PlayStation and PC so far.
Right. Which definitely makes me scratch my head. Like, what happened there? Like, where was the disconnect with Nintendo? Or is this a
Hmm.
game that because maybe it's too next gen, maybe this console can't run on the Switch. Maybe they're waiting to announce this for
Oh
the
no, no,
Switch Pro
actually,
or whatever.
it looks like it is. It will get on the Switch first, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's
Which?
already out. No, my apologies. This actually came out last year for the Switch already.
No. Okay. Yeah, I do
Yeah,
see
we're
that. Yeah.
just gonna finally, yeah, it's already been out. The game is actually coming out for the other consoles
Right. Okay.
Q3, Q4 this year. So this is actually interesting to me. It actually changes my whole perspective on this. No More Heroes 3, a game that's already out, is actually going to be pushed to the rest of the world. This is something interesting because No More Heroes has only ever been in a Nintendo game. Now it's coming to PC, Xbox, PlayStation. So it does kind of change the message I'm trying to
Right.
to
Right. Yeah.
say
Same
here.
here. Yeah. For sure. So it would just be a game to see how successful it is to come to all those other consoles and see if it can succeed on the PlayStation 5, the next gen Xbox, or
Hmm.
even PC, for sure. But that's a lot of gaming news that we just covered here, but we do got a little bit more here with our gaming rumors. There was actually a decent amount of stuff this week. Xbox here is to host an E3 style showcase in June, which kind of is expected with E3 not going to be there, and they usually have a showcase, and this will be like one of their first official like big ones that they can do with the now that they own Bethesda. Last year it was kind of like at the early stages of that, so they couldn't really do like a joint thing all together and put everything together so quickly. So I think this is going to be a big event. What's your thoughts on that?
I think this is just going to be, this is par for the course. This is what we expected. We
Mm-hmm.
finally got Xbox date for their thing because we have the state of play from PlayStation every year. Now we've got the Xbox's version of the state of play.
Mm-hmm.
They've been kind of relying on other people's shows and showcases to put themselves on the map, but now they have, we're gonna have our Nintendo Treehouse once a month. We're gonna have our state of play every 6 months to a year, and then we're gonna have our Microsoft showcase. And hopefully it'll be more than once a year because
Mm-hmm.
honestly, it saving all that up, we're gonna have then their showcase in June and then the Game Awards in December.
Right. I mean, because like I said, like they do this week on Xbox, well, obviously once a week, which but it's not like a big event. It's just a YouTube video. But then they do the ID at Xbox events, and then they got the showcase. But then they have a big presence at like Game Fest in the summer, and then they also part of the Game Awards. So it'd be interesting to see if they can add another event like somewhere in there to like showcase other instead of just saving up for once a year. I think that
Mhm.
might be Xbox's biggest weakness right now is their events and how they showcase things. I think once they establish a better presence like that, it's going to help their market flourish.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so we also see that Microsoft is having a lot of success still. A rumor has a new developer announcement. Their studio officially has been invited to Game Pass for their day one release of their game, but they're already on the Microsoft Store and they were already planning to sell their game there.
Hmm.
But now, even these new studios who decide we're going to put our game on the Microsoft Store instead of going to Steam or whoever else, Microsoft's just like, hey, let's just not do the store. Why don't you just come to
Come to
Game
Game
Pass? We'll
Pass.
do it that way. Just
Right.
come to Game Pass. We'll pay you a lump sum. Then, whether your game flops or not, you're gonna get money.
I'm just curious to see what developer this is and what game is coming to Game Pass because that it could be a big game, but it could be an indie developed game. So we're not so sure yet. They didn't give there was no details. It was just someone talking about leaks and rumors and stuff. But something that did come out was Microsoft paid for chip priority to the increased Xbox Series X and S chips. So they're being obviously they're all in for Xbox and they're trying to push out as many as they can and they've been outselling the PlayStation. They're trying to catch up to the Switch, but we know how the Switch just sells like freaking hotcakes, and it's just like
Yeah,
it's exciting, but it's just like Microsoft is all in finally, a completely different mindset than what they had with the Xbox One did, and I mean I don't care if they paid for to buy more chips over PlayStation. Like you got to go after it if you really want it. And PlayStation has been
yeah.
very lackluster lately, so Xbox is like, all right, cool, we're just gonna take it for the
We'll
win.
pay extra and we win. It just goes to show Microsoft will do anything to win and they're already succeeding. So why not get that little extra edge and pay a little bit more, get all the chips, build the consoles, steal the market while the market is easy and vulnerable.
Right. Another rumor in regards to Xbox is they're potentially adding or announcing their family plan. It's going to be called something along the lines of Xbox 365, which is similar to their other services they add, like Microsoft 365. So it's supposed to be $24.99 a month, and you're supposed to have up to 5 users, which is that to me that's a steal because right now I'm paying $15.89 just for myself. So if like a group of friends just even just tied up and say, here,
I'm just gonna get Jordan on it, and now she has Xbox Ultimate or Game Pass Ultimate, and I'm only paying only half a membership more.
right. And not only that is they're going to add like a yearly subscription, right? So right now Game Pass doesn't have a yearly offer at all. And but if you buy the family plan though, it's $199.99 for the year. But apparently Game Pass Ultimate just for the solo member might be getting it at $139.99 a year, which saves about $40 roughly. Because I pay monthly and it's that goes up to 179.88 before tax. So about $40 savings right there. So makes sense. I don't know why they never had it from the beginning. I guess it was to make more money, but now they realize, oh, okay, Let's be consumer friendly, which is
Well,
what
I
Microsoft
think,
has been.
it was a way for people to dip their foots in, and they were kind of like, let's get people hooked. But
Yeah.
now they're like, we've got a solidified fan base. We don't need to worry about profits. We're rolling in it. We can literally build mattresses out of $100 bills. So let's just, we can deal with making sure we make things better for the consumer because we don't need the money now. We've got it. We win.
I think Disney hit it on the head here. I'm surprised they didn't call it something stupid like 360, and I know it confused everybody because their naming scheme is awful.
Yeah. No, I'm glad they actually called it. When you said Xbox 365, I was like, isn't that the name of their console? And I was like, wait, no, it isn't.
It's the
That's
360.
five more than the console. Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about PlayStation for a second here. It's rumored that PSVR 2 is being delayed until 2023, and there is a DualSense firmware update or app coming to PC and Mac soon so that people can update their actual controllers without the console,
Right.
which is huge
Hmm.
because currently you can't update your PS5 controller if you're playing on PC like myself. You have to go over, plug it into your console, and
Update
wait for it to update it,
it.
then resync it with your computer. It's tedious. Why
Right.
can't I just do it on the computer? Yeah, and I didn't know I needed it until PlayStation's like, "Hey, we realize you might like this. We didn't,
It might help.
you didn't think of it." And I'm
Right.
like, "Oh, shit, that is a great idea."
Right. Because my Xbox controller, when I play on my computer, I can update it right on the PC, or I can do it on the Xbox. Depends on what system I'm playing on. So
Mhm.
that's awesome. Some more rumors here. Call of Duty here. Sledgehammer is reportedly working on their next Call of Duty entry, which won't come out till 2024 if the rumor is true that they're skipping in 2023. And it's supposed to be a Vanguard sequel. And when this came out, man, I was really like, did they not learn from their mistake that Vanguard was garbage, hot garbage? Like they're going back to
Fanboys,
add, they're
fanboys, dude.
they're
I'm
going back.
saying fanboys.
But listen, like they're going back to add more content to Black Ops Cold War because they know Vanguard is trash, and they're changing zombies in Vanguard. Like they're bringing the new round-based zombies back to Vanguard. They're adding all this old stuff that people love to Vanguard because they know how bad Vanguard is. So it's just like,
Yeah,
bro, why would you do you not care about your community? No, clearly not. We're circling back to Activision not caring about their people. Even though this is Sledgehammer Games, like they can probably make choices, but maybe higher ups like, nope, you got to make Vanguard too. We don't care.
yeah,
So we'll see how that plays out. But one that did pique my interest this week with rumors was Need for Speed. Apparently, we're getting a revive of the franchise, hopefully, and it's supposed to release this holiday season, so sometime in November of 2022. It's a Chicago-inspired map with anime aesthetics. I'm curious to see what this is going to look like. Is it going to be like a cartoon version of racing games, or is this like a legitimate
no,
game?
thank you.
So it's like I
It's a
don't
no
know.
thank you for me and the community, I hope.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. This probably won't compete with Forza Horizon 5, but maybe they'll surprise us with something good for once. It's been a while since we had a good Need for Speed game.
Honestly, the last time I bought Need for Speed, I was really hopeful, and then I was like, wow, I'm so disappointed.
I think I own a couple of them over here, but I don't think I've ever played them.
I played the Need for Speed on the PS4, and I was like, this is a bad game, and they should feel bad.
Yeah,
Talking about good games, though, on the other hand,
that was the last one I bought.
Dead Island 2. We're getting a sequel. It's still in development, but it may be this year we see it.
Yeah, this one's been in development probably for like 12 years. I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
been
But the thing is, we might see it this year. That's the rumor, and I'm excited. I don't know about you.
maybe we'll get a good zombie game. Maybe. Because Dying Light 2, I know we're still trying to play through and beat that, but that was a headache. I want a fun zombie game. Like, I feel like I haven't had one in a while. I mean, Back for Blood was probably decent. But like I said, I've only played the first like couple missions, so I don't know. I can't say, oh, it was a great
Yeah.
zombie game. So I haven't really played one.
No, and I'm excited for Dead Island 2. But something I'm not excited for is potentially the Ghost Recon sequel in development. Like, honestly, we haven't had a good one in a while, and I haven't been very much excited for any Ghost Recon game in a long time. I
Right.
don't know about you.
Um, I have Wildlands, and I was trying to play through that. It has an interesting concept. It's just I think I'm getting closer and closer to the point that I'm over open world games, and specifically Ubisoft open world games because like
Yeah.
they're just too cluttered with unnecessary content. Like you telling me Elden Ring
And
is a
microtransactions.
Elden Ring has this expansive open world map, but like it's not overload.
I
It's not
wanted to explore it.
right.
At the end of the day, I spent 140 hours going through the map to do this stuff because it was fun.
Right.
But like Ubisoft game, I'm done after 5 minutes. I'm like, this is stupid. It is the same shit over and over again. But whereas like Elden Ring, that's how you do an open world game. Like I fought the same boss 4 or 5 times, and every time I was like, yeah, let's go. Fucking fight me, bro. I was ready. But like I go play a Ubisoft game and I'm just like, wow, I saw that NPC 3 seconds ago. Hey, that NPC I saw 4 seconds
I
ago.
just
It's
did
like
this exact same
I'm
mission
getting
earlier today.
really tired of the same people. Oh, let's go rescue or kill this guy again.
Yeah, it's bad. So, but onto some positivity here to end out the episode is Sonic 2's director. Once they make a Smash Brothers movie, I'm for it. Like Sonic 2 was
Honestly,
great.
I think it'd be really interesting if we built it off of Smash Bros. Ultimate because the Smash Bros. Ultimate lends itself well to a movie at this point, you know. But we're gonna have to choose, you know, a main character, and everyone
Yeah,
chose whoever they wanted to start the game with.
right.
But like now that if somebody makes a movie, they're gonna have to decide who they want to start with, and then you know they're gonna go from there. But
Yeah,
uh,
the only
it
thought I had
seems cool.
behind this was kind of like Ready Player One has like all of the characters, but like you play as like your own like specific person. Like what if they made that like you played as like you made your player and you're in the game, but then like all the Smash Brothers are in like the characters from Smash Bros are in there, or something like, and you're fighting through like a legitimate tournament. What if it's like Squid Games, but like you're fighting or something like
Mhm.
that? I don't know. Like I'm just trying to throw some ideas out there, but I'm curious to see how that would pan out, and
At
if
the
they
end of the
made
day, you're not fighting each other most times. You're fighting against, you know, trying to get to Master Hand and Crazy Hand and stuff. So
hmm
I think, you know, it the new game lends itself well to the ability to have that kind of story. So I'm excited. Maybe there'll be something good, but I think it may or may not be a good movie depending on the target audience, though, too.
right. So we'll wait and see if this comes to fruition because I know what was it the Uncharted director wants to make or Tom Holland wants to do like a Jack and Dex movie. So we'll see how all this stuff pans out for sure. But any last comments or remarks before we close out this week's episode?
Oh, you missed the rumor about Indiana Jones
Oh
might be a
yeah,
character in Fortnite soon.
that wasn't that important, I guess.
No, it really wasn't. It was like, you know, that rumor, I saw you gloss over it, and I was like, yeah, I'd do that too if I were you, but I'm just gonna say something just in case you missed it.
Yeah, I definitely missed it. It was I guess it just wasn't on my radar.
It's
Cool.
nothing
It's just
special, honestly.
it's adding to their very long list of characters because they have like anything and everything is in there.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. But anything from you before we close out this
Nope,
week's
not
episode?
for me. I thank you guys for checking us out live, and those of you who check us out later on YouTube. I appreciate you coming out. It's been awesome. We'll hopefully see you tomorrow night for Valorant, and maybe next weekend for our co-op stream coming back. It's been a little bit. We've had some family in from out of country.
Yeah, out of country and out of state. It's definitely been a lot for sure. But yeah, like Roger said, thank everyone who checked us out live and on YouTube later on. I won't be around for Valorant tomorrow. I got to take the family I got here back to the airport tomorrow, so I won't be there. But definitely check out Lunatic Oblivion's Twitch channel as he streams and plays with the team for sure. And like you said, hopefully we're back to Tiny Tina's next week. At 12 o'clock, maybe an hour earlier at 11, but stay tuned for some updates regarding that. But Roger, where can we find you at?
Everyone knows at this point, I assume, but it's twitch.tv/lunatic_oblivion. I may have a Twitter here soon, but stay tuned.
Of course, everyone, you can check me out at Twitter at MrNeverChillin _ Xbox is XNeverSpaceChillin. You want a game party up, hit me up there. Facebook is Vic Brubacher. You got questions or concerns, check me out on there. And actually, I've been streaming a bunch of the single player games over on my Twitch at MrNeverChillin. Obviously, twitch.tv. But definitely want to thank everyone again. But until next time, peace.